When you've been in this line of work as long as I have, you learn to depend on certain rules. Rule number 1, don't trust anyone.
Alright, so we've been playing a little bit of co-op and co-opetitive modes here with Fuse from Insomniac Games, and let's start up with the general vision for the game. What is Fuse?
So Fuse is, in a nutshell, imagine the lethal teamwork and dry humor from Mission Impossible meets the alien weaponry from District 9. And that's kind of what the current iteration of the game is that alien marriage of crazy weapons, 4-player co-op, and a great story and a lot of teamwork.
So just jumping into it, the crazy weapons are great, but I ran out of Fuse. So there's an economy to it there. You can't use them all the time, or if you're good, maybe you can.
Well, if you're constantly getting ammo, yes, but we want to have enough enemies. Like, there are a bunch of other weapons in the game, too, so there's regular weapons, and I think you can't really have the sweet in life without the sour, so you can't always be using the Fuse weapons. Like, they start to lose their meaning if you don't sometimes have to go back to a regular pistol or a regular assault rifle. And you're like, okay, yeah, this is okay, I can do... And sometimes, if you have a medium-range Fuse or a short-range Fuse weapon, you're going to want to have a sniper rifle for that long-range situation. Or if you have a long-range Fuse weapon, maybe you want the shotguns when someone gets in your face. So it's nice to have the variety there too in the regular game, and then if you run out of ammo, you always got to have a backup weapon.
Because the Fuse weapons are kind of an extension of the characters that are in the game, right?
That's right. So each character has their own Fuse weapon, and they sort of fit their personality a little bit. Like Dalton's sort of the big, muscular tank guy. He has the shield. He's the guy who can push forward and lead the team in. Whereas, Naya's the thief, and she has a warp rifle that lets her be the stealth, and she can do area of effect damage by creating black holes. So each weapon actually sort of fits their backstory and their personality a little bit. It suits them very well, and it also makes them very distinct as a class, so that you really kind of have to work as a team if you want to get the best out of the game and you want to be as efficient as possible in taking out the enemies, and the game rewards you for good teamwork.
So when you have a 4-player co-op like this, is it easy to fall into the trappings of the roles that everyone knows and sort of are familiar with? A tank should do this, a DPS should do that, or are you trying to mix it up a little bit as well?
Yeah, I think we originally, early on, we definitely were kind of being very strict with the roles, and as it went on, we started trying to kind of remix them a little bit. So like your stealth class is your AoE class. So like Naya, she has the stealth ability, but she also has your area of effect. And your trap guy is also your DPS sort of and your long range is sort of his 3 components. And then your crowd control's your healer. So they're very mixed. They're a little specific. But the nice thing is you can easily, if you have 4 players, you have the full group and you guys can all sort of specialize. If you have less than 4 players, you can jump between the characters at an instant with our feature called Leap. So all you do is press the back button or select button on the controller and then press the button that corresponds to that character and you instantly jump into them. So if there's a situation where you need to use Dalton, then push forward. Now the AI will probably do that for you anyway, but if you want to control it and make it work for your team, you can easily jump into his body if you're just playing alone or maybe you're just playing split screen with a friend.
Yeah, because that was what I was thinking when I was playing here. We're getting our asses handed to ourselves in the Echelon mode, which I'll get to later. But Dalton was such a key player there because he could put up the shield when things got really heated, and sort of there's a lot of you have to put a lot of faith in the AI if you're not controlling Dalton at that point.
Well, it's been a big focus for us to get the AI working really well, and Dalton will push forward, and if you're playing as Dalton and you're the person with the shield, the AI will come up behind you and get behind the shield and shoot through it. So we really worked hard to try and get that to feel right and for them to play their roles correctly. But you're right, like, you're going to be the best Dalton. You're going to be better than the AI if you're playing as Dalton. So if you're trying to protect a fuse canister in Echelon and that's the main goal and all the enemies are rushing it, like, no one's going to do better than you jumping into Dalton and dropping a shield right in front of that canister to protect it as long as possible and give you a chance to clear the enemies out.
Because it also feels like if you're a player behind the AI, you may not want to, you want to stick behind his shield, but he may not be in a perfect position to sort of aid you.
He'll hopefully be in a pretty good one. That's the idea to do it. And we've also tried to put in like visual cues too, or audio cues, I'm sorry, where he's going to say something like, my energies are running out, shield's about to drop, take cover. And he'll tell you, and that's just a cue. When his energy runs low, you'll hear that audio cue play. So it sounds so natural because the AI is now telling you that he's about to run out of shield juice. But it's a great cue for players, because if you're playing and the AI isn't talking, or even if you're not talking over a headset or something, you need that cue to know like what's about to happen. So there's a lot of that kind of crosstalk that lets people know.
So you get that even if you're playing with a player control character, you're going to get that audio.
You're going to get that audio no matter what. So it's just something that's in there. So we try to even do tweaks like that, so you know what's about to happen, and you kind of know the status of other characters, even if you can't see how much fuse they have or what they're up to.
So we did mention it briefly, the Echelon mode, something new that you're talking about now. Kind of an interesting twist on the sort of the whole wave-based sort of cooperative modes. Can you tell us what the sort of the concept is?
Sure. So it's a wave-based mode, and we knew we wanted to do something that kind of built on top of all of our co-op and teamwork mechanics. We didn't want to make like a competitive mode where we're trying to reinvent it. We want to take what was awesome about the campaign and make it even bigger and better with the wave mode. And a lot of wave games, you end up kind of defending one little area, and it's just waves and waves of enemies until you're completely overwhelmed, and then it's game over, and you start from, again, fun. We've all played a lot of it. We wanted to kind of do some new things, though. So our two big inspirations were Smash TV, and then we decided, well, instead of a defensive wave mode, let's make an offensive wave mode, and let's do something kind of maybe like Resistance 2 co-op, which, you know, some of the DNA is there. So the way it works is there's 6 maps, and each map is kind of fairly big with a lot of different spaces to it, and they're all designed individually. There's 6 different mission types which rotate in, and each time you play a round of Echelon, there's 12 rounds. The 6th round is your mini boss, the 12th round is the boss. So just like a good game, halfway through mini boss, end of the level boss. But the other 10 rounds are randomized. It could be one of the 6 missions in a various location around the map. So you combine the various maps with the various locations on the maps and the various missions you can get all randomized, plus the different characters you can play, and there's tons of replayability, tons of variety you can get out of it. And on top of that, the Smash TV thing I was mentioning, when you kill big enemies and sometimes even small enemies, they'll drop loot. And the first person who can get to the loot and grab it gets that loot and gets to keep it, and it allows them to buy customizations and team perks. So there's a really fun risk-reward element, and everyone wants to be like right in the middle of the fight. You don't want to go like hide and try and pick people off from a distance, because if you do that, you're not going to be able to get to the loot in time, and everyone's going to clean up. So it's a really interesting competitive balance when you see like a big block of gold bars drop and everyone just speeds off towards it right in harm's way, trying to get it and roll into cover or something like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so there is a cover system here, but I noticed the pace is so frenetic that you're just in and out, moving all over the place all at once. That sort of must also present a challenge in sort of presenting the player with the sort of the synergies that you can do in playing together, because there's so much going on. How do you sort of tackle that?
That's been like probably one of the biggest challenges going on in the game. I think the cover system I think our cover system is awesome. It's really fast. It's really responsive. It works for a fast game like this, and how quickly you can move around, and using 2 buttons to either go around or jump out of cover. I really, really think our cover system is great. I hope people enjoy it when they play it. In terms of seeing what people are doing, I think making sure everything looks really unique. Like, you instantly know when Izzy has crystallized someone because they're shot up into the air, and like, oh, I got to hit that person. And you instantly know, like, people that are on fire from Jacob's thing, and the shield is big and visible. So there's all these things that are very obvious, and hopefully players will immediately recognize and say, oh, that's what's going on there. So we try to make sure everything is very visually distinct, so that when you see the chaos, you at least kind of have an idea of what's going on. Now, it's still fun when there's a little bit of, oh my God, I don't know what to shoot at. Like, there's so much going on right now, and I'm just going to throw some grenades and roll and hopefully kill something. But like, we definitely try to make sure certain things will read better, and so you can kind of get a quick idea of what people are doing and what they're trying to accomplish, and you can tell who's targeting what and what's going on at that exact moment.
All right. So where are you at right now in development? What's left to do, and when will you be finished?
So we are basically just wrapping up right now. We are fixing kind of the final bugs. We're getting ready for our release, which is in spring 2013, so it'll be second quarter of this year, and we're excited to have it done. So we're just kind of in the final stretch right now of getting it ready and doing all the tuning and tweaking and bug fixing.
All right, looking forward to it.
Yep, thank you so much for coming by and checking it out.
fell on my gun.